Hey, this is Chip from The Real Dirt. And on today's Dirt, I have my good buddy Fahaj with Canna, hirecanna.com. Man, he has developed this great platform where he hooks up workers and employers in the cannabis industry. Man, finding qualified workers is one of the hardest parts within the cannabis industry. And sometimes you just grow so fast that you can't easily hire. And one of the things they've done is they've created a network of employees and employers. So if you're interested in the cannabis industry and want to start at the ground level, or if you're an experienced grower, you can come talk to them at hirecanna.com. Really nice guys. Today we talk about everything that you need to be employed in the cannabis industry. We talk about the ups and the downs. We talk about what it's like to be a employer and the difficulties of the employees. So sit back, fire up the largest joint you can, and then join us for the real dirt. Welcome to another episode of The Real Dirt. On today's Dirt, I've got my good buddy Fahaj. We're talking about working in the cannabis industry. Say hello to all our public people here.
Hey y'all, super excited about this one.
You know, I met Far here in Oklahoma, a friend of a friend, and he operates a business that's people management software for the cannabis industry. This is mainly, like I don't know, you explain it, Far.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way to say it is, a lot of the jobs in the cannabis industry are kind of entry level. What we do is we build the supply side of workers in new markets, and then, farmers, dispensary owners can just push a button and hire vetted, trained, diligent workers on demand. So that's what we do.
It's work. It's like work placement almost, but
and the like a home advisor for the cannabis industry, or like a thumbtack. That's kind of where we're at.
So one of the things you guys do is you help people find trimmers or growers or laborers, right? In Oklahoma City area or all over?
Right now we're focused on the Oklahoma State. Primarily Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and South Oklahoma, but hopefully we'll get to expand a lot beyond that over there.
Man, how did you get involved with this? What was it? What were you doing previous to this?
So this is like a pretty funny story actually. But for 2.5 years before this company, I was actually the CEO of a company called Fade. Essentially, it was a barber booking platform that helped you find the right barber for your hair type. So people who are traveling all over, black, brown dudes who get haircuts every single 2 weeks, that's who we were focused on. So launched it in Dallas. We grew it to early revenue.
It was called Fade.
Yeah, like a fade.
And for all of the white people out there, a fade means what, Fahad?
It's a specific type of haircut. So you can get like a medium fade, a high fade. It's kind of the blend when you're having a shear run against your hair on the side of your head.
Right. So, right. It just fades back.
Exactly. So we were working on it. We launched it. We grew it to early revenue. And right about when we were raising our funding for that round, the company, our competitors won the marketplace. One raised a boatload of money, and Square, the payments platform, launched. And they were like outspending us 32x on all of our acquisition channels. So long story short, I put the numbers into my P&L and it looked a lot more red than I needed it to be. So we decided to wind down the company, and literally 4 days later, now our partner Zildjian, he gave my CTO a phone call and was like, "Hey man, fun fact, I have a cannabis farm in Oklahoma. Another fun fact, I just fired my grandma for being a really bad trimmer. The other thing is I need y'all to drive up and help me get the stuff ready to send over to my dispensaries." So we were like, okay, we packed up into a car. We came up here to Oklahoma, and while we were trimming, he was like, "Dude, I'm like a $10 supercuts guy. I don't need a master barber to pull up to my house. Like, why don't you just make an app where I can push a button and hire cannabis workers?" We're like, "Oh, that's interesting." That was 23 weeks ago.
Hmm. So have you launched this yet?
Yeah. So we're already live in
Right.
Oklahoma. Right now, we're deploying around 300 workers, and we're running paid pilots with 14 businesses. So far,
Hmm.
so good.
And the app, is that live?
Yes, we have like a web app right now, but we have the full
Hmm.
app going to be live in the summer.
Oh, excellent, man.
Yeah.
We got in. We moved to California in 1997.
Yeah.
Uh, we got jobs. Me and my girlfriend at the time, but now my wife, got jobs trimming, weed in the cannabis industry. Literally, like we went to a medical marijuana um, meeting. Right, medical
Yeah.
marijuana just become legal. We met this guy, and he offered us jobs immediately trimming weed. And for
Dude.
him, it was the best thing ever because he had been growing weed for 30 years, but he couldn't advertise necessarily for trimmers. So he saw me and my wife. We were fairly, we were clean cut hippies at the time. Right.
Yeah.
He hired us, and those guys really mentored us and
Yeah.
showed us the way on a because trimming is the entry level job in cannabis, right?
Yep.
Right,
Yeah.
like
It's primarily
everybody,
trimming.
even though if you like maybe already be growing a little bit or like have a little stash or whatever, like it always, like in the industry, that's entry level.
Yeah, because I mean there are like machine trimmers, but they just I mean you told me about that specifically.
Just-
They just don't
yeah,
do a good job, right?
yeah, well, I
And they're
mean, you still have
expensive.
to have people to use the machines, right?
Yeah,
So
and
like
they're
you
like
still have, you still have to have people, right? No matter what, if you're using
yeah.
machines or not.
We were
um
actually doing some research and talked to some of our farms, and they were saying, like they spend $5,000 to $15,000 to get like even the really big machines, and they were like,
yeah,
it wasn't worth it because it was damaging the trichomes. It was like doing like
yeah,
bud
totally.
damage, and they're like, it's not. I want to go back to people.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely a space for automation,
yep,
and there's a way to use all of the machines right and wrong. We the Green Bros are really a great product, and we just see people use them as an extension of the scissors. And yeah, it might not do as good a job as hand
yeah.
trimmed, man, with the Green Bros and like some good operators, because that's the thing is like
You can get pretty
you got to
close.
have a good operator,
Yeah,
right? Man, it just helps out. Like, and
yeah.
yeah, it damages the weed a bit, but like
I think if you
there's
have
a
like a
place for
really
it.
large farms,
If
yeah,
you have a really large
that
farm,
makes a
if you're doing it
lot of
for
sense.
extraction, if you're trying to sell a cheaper product, like those are all ways to use machines, but you still got to have people to run it,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, we got to visit like Flower One in Vegas, like that huge like
Hmm.
farm processing facility.
Right.
It's almost like their compliance is like almost like FDA level, almost like they're preparing for it. But one thing that I saw was like they had all of like the people hand trim, but they used bucking machines, and they pretty much had like assembly lines to automate like the inefficient parts of the process, which is like box tracking and like destemming the thing and removing the fan
Sure.
leaves and stuff. That's
Sure.
where they used a lot of the machinery and like for the final touches, they still had a little bit of like human interaction, even though it was a massive farm. But
Right.
yeah, so 97, 96 was when it was legalized in California, right?
96 was when it was legalized in California. We moved there immediately. Me and my wife were already involved with cannabis
Yeah.
and cannabis politics, and we met each other at University of Georgia, and we were involved in this thing called the Cannabis Action Network.
Oh,
And we went to a protest down in or an action down in Florida, Jacksonville,
yeah.
with this guy Murley. Murley was a doobie tosser, and he'd gotten arrested for like
A
throwing out
doobie tosser?
thousands of joints. It was an annual thing he did. Great guy, um, and we met Jack Hara there,
Hmm.
and we all stayed at this one little compound that was literally called Fort Ganja, and Jack smoked me out, man, like no one ever had. The weed was so good. Oh, so good. I was at the time 23, and he smoked us out, and I'm just like so high, and he's, Jack would like tell people these stories, and he'd get you into it, and he'd say, and we need good people like you to come to California, because now we've got medical marijuana legalized, and
Yeah.
now we need to make it, really happen. And that's why we moved to
Well,
California, man.
was that a
Jack
road trip
here.
or a flight?
We packed up the car with a bucket with a box of records, my
Yeah.
cat, and an ounce of weed.
Oh my God. That is awesome.
It is. Hey, man, this is a perfect time to take a break, and roll some weed up, and then we get back to the conversation. Okay.
Sounds good.
Man, well, what'd you roll up?
I usually like to roll up something that has a lot more CBD than THC. So
Mm.
Zildjian actually got me this like 16-to-1
Mm-hmm.
CBD to THC flower, and that's been
Mm-hmm.
great.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
everybody has their own type, right?
I like the blendo, the CBD
Yeah,
to ganja for sure. I put about 1/3 CBD, 2/3 ganja in it. I
oh,
like it, man. Most of the
yeah,
CBD stuff is grown with just water outside, and it smokes super smooth. Really a good smoking product. I
yeah,
know it's different from ganja, but I just can see
yeah.
I can see it all. Right.
Yeah, I just really enjoy like the more like relaxed body high versus like the, you know, for me, it's like my brain is running like 16 different thoughts at the same time.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way, man.
Yeah,
I'm the
yeah.
same
So
way.
that's awesome.
So one of the problems with employees in the cannabis industry in the past, it's been so like dubious. Like I was saying about the guy Nelson who hired us. He wanted to hire people, but he didn't know anybody.
Yeah,
But you guys are doing something really interesting with the way you guys put it together. Is you do background checks, and then you train people a little bit.
yeah,
So when they go into a cannabis operation, they at least have some sort of success, right? Or some,
yeah.
right? What do you think the turnover rate is with people coming into the ganja industry, hemp industry?
It's wild. So like retail and hospitality, the turnover is around like 20 to 30%, right? And each like bad hire costs like $3,500. In cannabis, the turnover is like 6 out of 10 employees turnover in the first 2 months.
Yeah,
Yeah, and a bad hire can cost anywhere from $7,500 to 100 grand plus because, you know, they're definitely like trust as a service is something that the cannabis industry entirely revolves around. They're good people doing good work, helping get good products. So that's what we found out, and it. I think a lot of times, like an entry level worker, the biggest problem is there's like misaligned incentives. The head grower, his responsibilities already so much at the start of a day. He has to make sure everything's up and running. He has to keep up with his people. He doesn't really have time to teach the workers coming in exactly what he needs. So
right.
when there's a little bit of context, that changes the entire environment because now the workers can just take ownership of what direction to go, check in with a leader or a manager of some sort, and just be in constant communication with the grower without taking their time. So that's when we were like, okay, I think, the problem that really needs to be solved in the cannabis industry is education, and like education that's credible. Because like, you can go
Right,
become a grower at a university today. I heard there
right.
are like some universities that offer it, but
Yeah, many universities have some sort of cannabis course now.
yeah,
University of Colorado, Denver University.
I heard about that. There's that
All of those guys.
Oaksterdam, right, which is pretty
No,
popular.
Oaksterdam. I don't think they're part of a state school system or an affiliated school
They're a
system.
private school,
They're
probably.
private. They're out of the Bay Area.
Yeah,
They've helped a lot of people start out. Yeah, education resources is absolutely the number one thing, because previously it was this handed down thing.
Mm,
that one person would hand down to the next and give them like the knowledge on how to grow, cultivate, harvest, um, deal with your money, hire,
yeah.
trim, process, sell. Like it was all this underground thing. But now, like so much, like, I mean, you can just talk to anybody. You can call any professional in almost any
Yeah.
industry, and they'd talk to you about packaging, distribution, supply chain, point of sale, banking. Like, I mean, we really, I mean, we're legitimate now. It's
Yeah.
a real business.
Absolutely. And I think that's what allows these businesses to scale too. It's like once they can like transition into having like, digitally accessible currency and giving people, regular people benefits, insurance, and the ability to create an industry that's credible. Because that, I think we talked about that, right? It's like if
Hmm.
a farmer comes up to you and says, I have 15 years of experience working at this
Right,
black market farm, like, how
right,
are you going to do a reference check?
right.
There's like, there's
Right.
no real way to translate that experience into real time.
Usually
But
like,
now
here's my
we're
sack of weed.
yeah,
Right.
look at it, it's so dense. It's like, how do we know we didn't buy you didn't buy that from a dispensary?
Uh-huh.
I mean, but yeah, I think it's really interesting. And I think there are a lot of opportunities. And at the same time, the one incredible thing that I've seen about the cannabis community, it's a very collaborative community. And the people who are leading the charge are so open to helping each other out and setting the pace for the next kind of future generation of workers that are coming in. So I've loved that.
You've got an interesting perspective, because and that's why I wanted to have you on the shows, because you get to talk to all of these other cannabis business owners, and many of the people that we talk to here, they don't talk to really anybody. It's just their business, man.
Yeah.
um you know you talk to all these people. Do they have like common problems on hiring or doing business? And
Yeah. And what was funny is like somebody recently made the they related the cannabis industry to In and Out. So if you look at like employee happiness or satisfaction rates, there's something infectious about In and Out employees. Like from the guy flipping the burgers to the cashier, like the smile on their face is so honest. And even the person at the call center has the same kind of energy. But that's because they don't see In and Out as like a one-stop shop to get to that next paycheck and get out to their next part of life. A lot of people see it as this corporate ladder of opportunity to actually climb up and build a career in things that they're passionate about. So just knowing the fact that, like, for example, in Uber, what's like the ultimate success criteria for a worker is to one day become an Uber black driver, right? They never really evolve into another position within the company and transition into corporate, because that's why like the best Uber drivers are the ones who turn over fastest, because they get the money that they need. They get to that next position in life and they're like, I'm out. I'm not driving Uber anymore. Cannabis, on the other hand, is really interesting because it's kind of like oil and gas and it's like nursing. It's this huge like employee employer marketplace where people can, if they learn the skills, transition into that next step. So a trimmer, if they learn what it takes, have the managerial skills, can become a team manager. Now they can become a
yeah,
part-time grower assistant. If they learn about processing, transition to that, or extraction, or go into cultivation, and in 3 to 5 years, get a full-time job that's paying them six figures a year. And I think that's really interesting. And I think that's where also education and giving that upward momentum will have huge impact.
yeah, it really is true. It's one of the few industries right now that you can get on the job training and move up to the top quickly
Exactly.
if you got your shit together.
If
Right.
yes, yes, the people can
Right.
trust you. You work really hard, and you're willing to learn, and you're coachable.
Hmm.
People like that will succeed tremendously in this industry.
All right, here I've got a handful of things that I would like to suggest to anyone out there who's interested in getting a cannabis job right now, no matter what it is. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not trying to be an asshole or condescending. I've hired hundreds and hundreds of people, and unfortunately, I've fired a fair amount of those people too. More people, however, have quit than have been fired. So I'm just gonna tell you a handful of things you should do. All right, these are the simplest things. If you already know them, then just be like, duh, Chip, of course. All right, one, show up early, noon, 15 minutes, right? The first time you show up at the shop, at the place you're going to work, show up 30 minutes early so you make sure you know how to get there, right? Number two is already have your food and everything ready for the first at least day and see what it's going to be like. Some places it's easy to get food, some places it's not. Take food with you. Here's number two. Number three is show up clean and prepared. This also means not hungover or extremely high on anything, especially ganja, dabs, right? Uh, it is a ganja job, but it's not like it used to be, and it's not, it's not like a Rasta party here, right? I know
Absolutely.
some farms it might be, and good to you. Don't get me wrong, but there's work to do, right? And it's there's time for puffing up, after the job, right? Hey man, if you're really inquisitive and interested, listen before you start asking a bunch of questions, right? Just don't bombard people when you show up on day one or two or three or four or five with a bunch of questions, right? New employers don't necessarily like that. They like you to ask a question and then catch on to everything that they're saying. If you don't, of course, ask another question, but shut the fuck up, keep your head down, and don't ask a lot of questions because you're eager and you want to learn. But the best way to do it is just keep it cool, keep it cool.
Yeah. I think the whole point of showing up to job one is so you get invited back the next day.
Absolutely. All those get you invited back the next day. That's first day impressions right there.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gotten a few people through your organization, and they, we didn't ask them back or ask you not to bring them
Yeah.
back, and it just didn't fit in, right?
Yeah.
Man, clean up. Be clean.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Absolutely. Clean up your station, clean up your area, be clean.
Yeah, and I think too, like another thing that we've noticed is there's no opportunity for ego in the industry, right? And like it's like you're there to learn, you're there to be
Yeah.
coached, you're there to be an important part of the cogs of the business. And your whole job is to help increase the output and help these owners succeed. And when you do that, they'll curry favor back to you. So we've
Yeah.
seen that a lot. And the most like successful people within Canada itself are, generally older or a lot younger. They are people with like experience working in the service industry or doing blue
Hmm.
collar jobs and are now looking to take a shot at something new. And it's just an
Right.
interesting trend that we've seen, but they've been like designed for success because they sit there, they put in their hours, they crank it out, and at the same
Right.
time, there's always like a good conversation they're having, learning about the different aspects of the industry.
Yeah. Absolutely. It doesn't matter. We work with people of all ages for sure.
Yep.
And, it doesn't matter to us. Uh, we don't have like a set parameter.
Yeah.
I literally look in people's eyes. And if they got this light, right, and I can feel like I can hang out and talk to them for a few hours, and then they'll get hired. That's
Yeah.
actually the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And I know that's like, I mean, we get burned by that all the time. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
it's something like that's the primary requirement. They have to go all the rest of the stuff. And this is what I love about working with you too, man, is here's how it works with us. We place an ad. Well, one, hey, we want to hire somebody. Let's write an ad. Two, let's place an ad. Three, let's go through all the emails. Four, let's go through the resumes. Five, let's start calling people. Six, people come in for interview. Seven, people get eliminated. Eight, we re-interview. Nine, they show up for the first, right? It's like literally a 9-step process before you can and get, a job. And with you, I call you up, and they're there the next day. Right? If they don't work out,
Hopefully
they
30
don't
minutes
come
early.
back. Yeah, if they don't work out, they come
Exactly.
back. We get somebody else, and like I really like that. I mean, it's like tryouts, man. It's like tryouts,
Yeah.
right? Some people
Yeah.
interview great, right?
But that doesn't necessarily mean it translates into like long-term relationship. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really
absolutely.
interesting. Another thing too that I heard is like this concept about like cherry picking mandies. Have you heard about that?
What it will say again?
Cherry picking mandies.
What's a
So it's like in groups of trimmers, right?
uh-huh?
Usually like the market rate for trimmers by per pound, right?
Oh,
So
oh,
they pay
oh,
like
oh,
a
I
hundred
see.
bucks or 150 per pound. So cherry
Yeah.
picking mandies are people who we see who are like pretty greedy and it's like themselves over the group. So they would
Well,
go
hey,
in and get
bro,
all the big cola.
I don't like that you villainized a feminine character here. So we're
Okay.
gonna call them
Well, that's
cherry
bad on
pickers,
me.
and we're gonna get rid of the Mandy's part. Okay, bro?
Okay, I agree. Cherry picking peeps, right? Or
Cherry
peeps.
pickers. Yeah,
I'm about to
cher-
villainize peeps.
cherry pickers. Cherry pickers. Totally,
Yeah,
totally.
but
Go
it
ahead.
was it was really interesting. I just heard it from one of our growers and I saw it happen for the first time and I was like, "Oh, it's like when there's a group of 15 people, what people should be worried about is getting to the most amount the fastest together, right? Versus them
Yeah.
individually kind of." And that
Well,
culture is changing
it
dramatically too
is
now and I think
because
it's
it
really
used to all be
exciting.
by the pound, and now it's
Yeah.
mostly by the hour, I should say. Right?
Yeah, and I think
Right.
it makes sense. It's like if you're a really good grower and if they're good trimmers, they can do 1.5 to 2 pounds a day. It's like strategically speaking,
Mm-hmm.
one, the worker has guaranteed income, and
Yeah.
now two, the employer is getting a lot more out of a lot less time.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's going to be a lot of very interesting transitions as the industry progresses. But one thing's for sure is like the fact like nobody could think about how many jobs could be created just from legalizing this industry because
hmm
how diversified it is, right?
Yeah.
From marketing cannabis people to cannabis lawyers to it's really amazing to watch.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so much economy. Anything that touches any normal regular business also touches
Mm-hmm.
cannabis. You don't just have to grow ganja or sell ganja to do well or to even have a life in this business. Like
Yep.
there's plenty of spaces. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man. So where do you? This is all just started. This is all just like infancy. Where do you see all this going?
I mean, what we really want to build is like a supermarket for all like the apps that you need to manage your cannabis business. And I think that's where a lot of like the market is headed towards too is consolidation. Is people invest heavily into educating individual markets and eventually over time they'll all come together and be this federal superpower right across the states and there be I think
Right.
that's where it's headed. Like if you look at like the biggest now is a very interesting time in the market space, but that's my thesis is that it all come
Yeah.
together and what people will do is they'll invest a lot of resources to educate new markets faster and then
hmm
access to resources like banking, insurance, benefits, like a lot of these other things will be democratized for the people who are in the industry. And
Right.
yeah, I'm learning about it every single day. And like I told you, I'm no cannabis industry insider. I've been in technology and startups for a while, and all I'm doing is talking to as many people as I can as frequently as I can. And it's so exciting to watch because
Man,
like
it's
who would
moving
have
so
thought
fast. It's moving so fast.
Oklahoma would have the most number of licensed dispensaries in the states?
hmm
Like, you know?
Yeah. 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 More
Yeah.
licensing here than any place else in the country. It's an awesome place to be. I am stoked to be here in Oklahoma. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Especially these days. Uh, so hey man, how do we get in touch with you? How
Well,
if somebody wants to like just follow you on the social media or to get in touch with your company, how does it work?
my handle is Farhaj Mayan, Farhha, Mayan, like the Native American tribe, or actually the Mexican, South American tribe. I'm very foreign. Back to back tripping, dude. But yeah, look at Farhaj Mayan on Google. It's pretty easy to find. I've made myself that way. And for our website, it's highercanna.com. Um, I would
Hire
love to connect. Yeah,
Canna with a
with the
K
K. Nailed
.com.
it.
hmm
Yeah. Yeah. So easy to find, easy to talk to, and I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with anyone who reaches out.
So, man, if there's, many of our listeners out there either in the cannabis industry or they want to get in the cannabis industry,
Yep.
man, I'd like you to give us two pieces of advice. If you're in a cannabis employer, I want you to give me a piece of advice, and if you want to be in the cannabis industry, I want you to give me something.
Absolutely. One, if you're a cannabis employer, I think this is a really exciting opportunity to put a little bit more trust into a lot of different people coming into the industry. And two, I think it's an amazing opportunity for you to teach them the ropes and have and share clear expectations of what they should do to earn your trust. That way a lot of people will build solutions to solve your problems faster. And then you'll have really good relationships that you can rely on. I think it's like very essential. And, for us, a lot of people like you, Chip, like Dave's from Altum and Zenoa, people who put their trust in us and constantly give us feedback are the reason why we're able to move as fast as we can. For people looking to get into the industry, come in with clear expectations. Don't be misguided by like the hopes and dreams of like this being like like Woodstock as a career. Come in with clear expectations. Be really excited about the opportunity to build a career. Like Chip said, be inquisitive but not aggressive about it. And if you are a good worker, you put the team's priority over you, and you sincerely in the industry to help out, and because you believe in the social impact that it has, you're going to succeed, no doubt about it. I think it's about the right time, and it's about finding your culture fit, because I think that's also another thing that's important for people to realize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. We're nothing without our employees. Literally, as business owners, business entrepreneurs, we can't do anything without the people we work with. So, big up to all of the people that work with me at Cultivate Colorado, Cultivate Oklahoma, Growers Soil, Bakers Medical, Certified Seeds. Yeah, all you guys. I probably missed a couple people out there, but. Thanks. I appreciate every single one of you.
It's an industry by the people for the people, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Great, bro. Well, hey, we'll keep chatting later, man.
Sounds like a plan.
Will do. Wow, that was an awesome episode. Really enjoyed talking to Harsh. We've used them several times here in our Oklahoma City operations, and man, they're really building something cool. I know how hard it is to hire people, and personal relationships and cannabis and trust or can be difficult, but people like FAR have been able to help people like us and other cannabis entrepreneurs and cannabis operators kind of fulfill their dreams and really scale their operations. Um, you know, Relationships with your employees and employers are the most important thing that you can have as business. I know people say customer is the most important, but without your employees, without the people that work with you and for you, you can't do much at all. Now, if you're like me and you're a cannabis entrepreneur, man, my head's in the clouds all the time, not just because I'm smoking ganja every day, but man, I'm just always thinking and dreaming and wanting to build new stuff. And, without my employees and people that can focus on their particular expertise, Cultivate Colorado, Cultivate Oklahoma, growers, cocoa, I couldn't do any of that. So I want you guys to go out right now, give your employer a call or give your employee a text or give them a pat on the back and just say thank you. Thanks for being there. Thanks for helping me out. Thanks for giving me a job. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. Let's just continue to work on our relationships with our fellow human beings. Love you all. If you like this episode and others, download it on therealdirt.com. You can also look at us on iTunes, The Real Dirt Podcast. Please subscribe and comment on our Instagram channel. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on The Real Dirt.